Hello, everybody. How's it going? We're going to get started. I don't want you guys to miss any lunch. God forbid. We should do that. So we're going to get started, and hopefully we'll have some time for Q&A as well. I'd like to introduce my colleague here, Asif Makhani. He's the Senior Director of Engineering for LinkedIn Learning, and he comes from a tremendous background, has actually been instrumental in leading the team that built the search capabilities for LinkedIn, and specializes in building personalized systems that are data-driven.
And this is Morty Golding, Director of Content, joined LinkedIn from the acquisition of lynda.com, leads our content strategy, has over 10 years of experience in corporate learning and online training, and is an author of 25 courses on lynda.com and LinkedIn Learning.
Yes, awesome. So what I'd like to do today is kind of just provide a little bit of a view into the state of corporate learning today. We actually did some research. We know that about 69% of L&D pros today consider that talent is their #1 priority at their companies. We just spoke, Jake actually was great about just sharing a little bit about the perspective of how important this is for companies. In the research that we've done, we've seen, though, if we dive a little bit deeper into just what talent actually means, there are 3 areas of focus that L&D pros and CEOs are really focused on. Those things are leadership, building careers, meaning that they're focused on helping their employees build their careers within their companies, and also enhancing their skills. And I know I say technical skills here, and there's a lot of talk here about technology skills, like learning how to write JavaScript. I'm not referring specifically to tech skills, but the skills required to do your work. And this is not just our opinion. When we go out into the world, we find out that Burson, for example, says that leadership is a critical component of jobs at all levels. All you need to do is take a look at the landscape today in the news. Employees from United Airlines, from Uber, like these, today's employees are visible everywhere because of social media. So leadership is not just a skill that is limited just to your high performers or just managers at a company. Every single individual in a company needs to have core leadership skills, and ultimately that helps you build the future leadership of your company as well, because it's a lot easier to build and source that internally than that is externally. There was some research also that CLO did that said that 40% of millennials actually are likely to change their company because they feel that they are not given the opportunity to grow in their work. I was actually just in a workshop yesterday with McKinsey. They believe that number is 50%. So this is a huge opportunity for companies to really invest in the growth and the development of their own employees. And then finally, I can't think of a single term, a phrase that's been thrown around the internet more than this one. We all know that the lifespan of skills are shrinking. And this is not something that we can afford to get wrong. The cost, the real dollar cost to companies is massive. It can cost anywhere from 50% to 250% of an employee's annual benefits and salaries to replace those employees. 50% on the low end if you're kind of a new entry employee, 250% if you're somebody who has a lot of tenure at that company. So if this is such an important thing, how are companies actually solving these needs today? How are they doing? Unfortunately, not that great. We surveyed L&D pros. Only a quarter of L&D professionals would recommend their own internal training programs to peers. That is just a ridiculous number. 85% of executives are not even confident that they are building their leaders for tomorrow within their own companies. And this is not a problem specifically for the leadership of companies. It's also about the employees themselves. We asked CEOs to tell us what are the most important things to you for the L&D programs that you invest in. And the 2 most important things are, they said we need to see business impact and we need to see return on investment. Yet only 8% of CEOs see 8% of employees, of CEOs, claim that they actually see business impact from the training programs that they actually invest in today. And only 4% claim they see return on investment. And the employees themselves are not engaging with whatever content that these companies are spending gods of money on. 46% of employees claim that they don't even have time for L&D. I always like to unpack that idea of what it means not to have time. It means it's not a priority for me, right? So how do we actually engage the employees on this? Going in a step further, 15% of employees, and these are people who want to learn. It's not that they don't want to learn. They just feel the training they're getting is not relevant or not going to help them. So The question that I have for this crowd over here is, I don't think there's anything here that I've shared that is super new to you. You probably heard these things before, but the question to ask is, why is LinkedIn on stage talking about this?
Well, let me see if I can answer that question. I think I can. And to understand the role of LinkedIn in learning, I think you have to start by understanding the mission of LinkedIn, and that is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful, And I think the way we approach our mission is by creating the world's first economic graph. Essentially, what we're trying to do is digitally map the global economy, creating a profile for every professional in the global workforce, all 3.3 billion of them. Having a digital representation of every company, every job that's posted at that company, every skill that's required for that job, every school that you can go to acquire those skills, and a publishing platform to produce, consume, and share relevant knowledge for all professionals. So that sounds good in principle. What does that really mean in practice? Well, on LinkedIn today, we have over 500 million members. And not just any members, some of the most important people in the world. We have some of the most important publishers that are connecting to these members. Some of the best schools and companies publishing north of 60 million jobs on this platform. And from these jobs and these members, we're able to create the world's largest living, breathing skills taxonomy that can show you the skills that you need from JavaScript to Photoshop and SEM to get ahead at your job or get a new job. And now, with the recent acquisition of lynda.com and Video to Brain, not only do we have a skills taxonomy, we also have the content, the learning that you need to develop the skills. Members benefit from this amazing asset of the economic graph every day to connect with members, to acquire skills, to hire, to market, to sell. This is a living graph. In 1 minute, there are 5 million interactions across the entities of the graph. We've been here for a few minutes. Just imagine the number of interesting interactions that are taking place right now on LinkedIn. This is our dream, which is rooted in our vision of creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. That is our true north. That is what we are trying to achieve. And we're more committed than ever before to achieve this vision, given the trends of the widening skills gap and how technology is displacing workers. We believe that learning can help us accelerate this vision. Through learning, we can reach closer to this vision of creating economic opportunity. And that is why we're in the business of learning now.
That's a good answer, Asif. Thank you. So imagine if you took this amazing world of LinkedIn and this economic graph, and you took the learning that we have of Lynda, and you could actually combine those two. You get the intersection of data and learning to provide what we call LinkedIn Learning. Our vision is taking the vision that always was of lynda.com of great content, and now the vision of LinkedIn to empower every member of the global workforce to learn the skills they need to advance their career. This is what it looks like. It's available today. It's basically all of the 1,000+ courses that are available on lynda.com that is now delivered through this incredible platform called LinkedIn Learning. So let's take a closer look at exactly what that platform is, because there's lots of platforms out there, and I'm sure the word learning platform is not the first word you've ever heard at a conference like this. So the first question is, again, like, why would this be any different? Why is LinkedIn positioned any differently to be able to make a real difference in this place? So the first thing is our approach is a two-tiered approach. We're focusing on providing the necessary platform that an administrator at a company would need in order to deliver what we refer to as tops-down learning. But we also know that we need to engage the individual learner, and we have a learner-centric model that allows learners to self-select the learning and use what we call a bottoms-up approach to that as well. And we can take this two-tiered approach and deliver an incredible, engaging platform. So let's take a look specifically at what we mean when we talk about an administrator and how we tie these two amazing worlds of the LinkedIn economic graph to the Lynda content. If I'm an admin at a company and I want to be able to see how the learning's happening. I can track and have amazing analytics that tell me the engagement and how my teams are working with those skills. But more importantly, how do I even figure out what skills my team should be learning? I can use the power of the economic graph to compare the skill set of my team towards the industry, towards other companies, towards other people with similar job titles or similar job functions. And I can see exactly and identify where those skill gaps are and track the measurement of my team as they enhance those skills, right? So this is not just a matter of saying, hey, here's a learning platform, here's a whole bunch of courses, and go after it. We can actually now measure and tie goals of a company and have an L&D person who now is sitting at a company who increasingly more is at the table on the executive level, dealing with understanding what the company's strategy is, and then tying that directly towards providing actionable learning to their members. But it goes beyond, obviously, just the administrator. How do we engage the member? How do we think about the learner itself? Asif can tell you about that.
You know, at LinkedIn, we have a value called members first. And whenever a new idea or a new feature is explored at LinkedIn, there's almost a negotiation that takes place. You know, is this going to help the business become more profitable? Is it helping our paying customers? Or is it compromising the member experience? And we strive to always lead with the member's experience. And through benefiting the member, we benefit our customers and the business. And we want to apply the same principle to learning. We want to be learners first. We want to be learner-centric. And we want to provide a personalized learner experience to every learner to provide the right learning at the right time, at the right place, on the right device. And we think we can do that based on the data and the insights that we have about the learner's identity, network, and behavior. Through the economic graph, we understand that we have a professional profile of record for every member. We understand their job title, we understand where they work, we understand what skills they have recently acquired. Through the network of connections and others, co-workers at your company or others in the same job title family, we understand what other skills are trending at those companies, what your network is needing, and based on our profile of jobs, we can understand what skills gap exists for you to help fill. And through the learner's behavior on LinkedIn's ecosystem, we understand how they consume the knowledge, what are their best optimal learning behaviors through which we can provide a personalized learning experience. So what does that translate into? We can provide personalized recommendations. So if you're a marketing manager interested in a particular skill, not only will we show you relevant courses for that skill, we'll also show you what other marketing managers are taking with respect to the skill that you may be interested in. If you are a marketing manager and now you want to become a program manager, which may be an adjacent field, we will show you all the top skills that are relevant in your industry with respect to that role. And for each skill, we will show you not only the courses that are relevant, but also who in your network are taking those courses or have the skill. For each course, we will show you which skills are tagged to that course, but also who is taking that course, what their job title is, and where they work. This platform is deeply intertwined with the LinkedIn ecosystem. So after you take a course, you can share with your network, or you can add it to your profile, which feeds back into strengthening the economic graph. Ultimately, this is about taking our social DNA and our deep expertise in learning and providing a rich social learning experience. And you can imagine how over time this experience can get richer and richer so that you can leverage your network and have your peers motivate you to learning through chats, challenges, and setting shared goals, how your network can assist you in learning through mentorship, discussions, and expert advice, and how you can even apply your knowledge through sponsored projects and even opportunities to teach others in the economic graph. All of this goes back to our vision of creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. It does not matter what you learn. It matters what you do with that learning. And ultimately, by combining our data, our insights with our expertise in learning, we are striving to develop and work towards our vision of creating economic impact.
Very inspirational. Thank you, Asif. It sounds like an awesome dream, right? We're actually delivering this today. Every single month, LinkedIn, our economic graph team, publishes reports, which we call the workforce reports. We actually publish this a week before the government publishes their labor report. So we can do that a little bit faster. We know a little bit about data. We publish 20 reports now for 20 different cities throughout the United States, and we're expanding this to 50 cities globally. And in each of these reports, we don't just say, hey, here are the top trending skills in each of those cities, but we actually identify what are the 10 most scarce skills required in that city. So, for example, this allows us to identify where companies have a huge need to fill jobs that have certain skills, but where the actual human capital, the number of people who live in that city, don't have the skills in order to fill those jobs. So we can list what those are. If you're out there looking for a job, or if you aspire to have a job, these are areas that people are actively looking to fill. And it's one thing to identify those, and it's one thing to take that a step further and take our amazing lynda.com content and actually map relevant courses to help you gain those skills so you can get those jobs that are available in the cities that you live in or in the cities that you might aspire to move to. And this is, I think, the true power of what the economic graph delivers, and kind of what Asif said before. The learning itself is one thing. It's taking the data and then using that learning to actually achieve a larger goal, which is closing that gap and allowing us to really bring economic opportunity to the world. And that's what LinkedIn Learning is. Thank you. So, awesome. Go tell the world about it. So we have some time left before lunch. I'm happy to take questions, Asif and I. Raise your hand and we can get a mic over to you.
Hi, thank you. Really enjoyed that. Within L&D, 10,000 courses sounds awesome, but also quite intimidating for people that are going to head to a platform. Where do I start? So if somebody was a corporate client, they were going to sign up with you guys, would you recommend 100 or 200 courses? Would you sit with them and pick them out? How does that actually work operationally?
Great question. So our team has a tremendous amount of subject matter experts. We take all of our skills and all of our expertise and we heavily curate them. So on our site today, we have a whole bunch of published learning paths. So if you have, for example, a whole bunch of new hires and you want to do onboarding and they need to be digital marketers, they can take a learning path which has a very specific set of curated courses they can follow. Companies themselves can set their own initiatives, and then we have teams that will map our content to those teams' initiatives. So, for example, we map all of our content to Lominger. We map all of our content to DDI and any other custom mappings as well. And any companies can use those as a starting point to then figure out how to take our content and maybe in the future third-party content as well and integrate that into an effective learning program.
And I think on the flip side, looking from the learner standpoint, selection could matter if we can provide the right search capabilities, right? Like imagine becoming the Amazon of learning so that for a learner, you don't have to think twice about going to a search box and just typing in what you need to know. So it's not intimidating if we can actually provide the right discovery means. And I think kind of that's some of the things that we're working on to actually provide the right discovery experience so that it's not kind of daunting. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
For a small team, would you budget that per course or per user?
I don't know if you know that. For a small team, is it budgeted per team? Or, it's pay
our model
per
is a
seat. Got it.
subscription model, so it's pay one price and access all the content on the platform. Yeah. Get some hands over here. Sounds like it's on.
Okay.
There you go.
In all due respect, how do you know that you're giving courses as compared to what 2-year and 4-year institutions are given for the pathways that somebody is asking for? How would you know that you're giving courses that are relevant, or how would they compare to 2-year or 4-year institutions in that I realize that you're giving educational programs or courses. How do you know, or how have you targeted against these other systems today?
So yeah. I can answer that question initially, and then you can provide another look at it. But coming purely from our strength in lynda.com, so we've always felt that we don't displace or disrupt education, we augment it. Our goal is not to say our content is better than any other college program that's out there. We have been instrumental in flipping the classroom model to allow professors and teachers, who are probably our greatest asset, to use our platform. So most of our content is people who already are outside of those or does not go to colleges as we think about the corporate landscape. So it's just a matter of using our own data and getting the feedback we get from our members. We just know from our NPS score is insanely high, over 60, so people seem to like our content, and that conversation that we have with members helps us know that our content is right for that. Do you want to add to that? Okay.
Question here and there.
Question here? It's like,
There's a question
hand here. I see 2 hands.
So when someone has completed the coursework or the actual video, how are they actually receiving either competency? You know, is it a project? Is it they get a badge at the end and it shows up on their profile, so it's transferable? How are you actually measuring the actual learning, and then what happens with that learning to prove that you actually have done it?
Right. So I can start. There are a few things that happen today. So for each course, there is a set of assessments. In some cases, you know, there could be quizzes. Some cases, there are actually practice environments for you to actually apply those skills. So that's input in us understanding your level of competence with that skill. And then you can actually add that skill as you see fit to your profile. So that's another way for actually you creating your and strengthening your profile.
Yeah, I'll just add that it depends on the course content itself. Some goals of courses are just to have general information about something. But most of our courses have what we call like learning challenges, where the author will basically share a few examples of things that people can do on their own. And then our authors also go ahead and provide their way that they've solved that problem. And this is incredibly important. Beyond things like learning how to make a pivot table, there's usually only one way to do that. But especially in the area of technology, where critical thinking is a huge part about learning, seeing how another professional solves that problem gives you another way to think about how to solve that problem. And in many courses, we also provide multiple insights to multiple solutions to those problems as well.
Hi there.
We have a hand here.
Hello. So you probably know about many of the pitfalls that online courses have faced, mostly around engagement. How are you thinking of avoiding those known pitfalls?
Well, I think that's a great question. I mean, I think it goes back to our leveraging some of our assets that we have in terms of understanding what the learner needs at the right time and providing a support system. We believe that, you know, social learning can lead to more learning, more effective learning. So that is one of the premises of our approach, to be able to have the right relevancy in terms of recommendations and the right support system to be able to motivate people to keep going. And we've seen some strong results, you know, even simple things like, you know, setting goals and reminding them to actually continue with their goals are some of the ways that, you know, you can achieve, you know, combat some of those pitfalls that generally are not possible in online learning.
I'll just add one more thing to that, which is, again, tapping into the power of LinkedIn and the LinkedIn network. Like in your feed, you see, you know, people from your network recommending content that you know is interesting to you. So yeah, there's the kind of skill development where you have a long-term aspiration to become a certain person that has a larger skill. But every day we're learning. We're reading articles, we're looking at, you know, individual clips. That kind of content that we add right now also is available within the LinkedIn feed. And we'll raise awareness to you, again, based on your connections. So if there are other people who are interested in other pieces of content, those will be kind of brought towards your attention using our engine to do that. Question?
Hi. I'm a school, and my students use LinkedIn Learning, and they love it, but they don't get college credits. Do you have any plans to do stackable credentials and work with universities to provide those credentials? Can you describe what that future roadmap looks like?
I can't speak exactly to the roadmap, but this is definitely an area that we are exploring. On lynda.com, we recently, I think last year, we had partnership to provide certifications for project management professionals who take an exam, and actually, through that partnership, you can actually certify. So you can imagine how LinkedIn can facilitate an ecosystem where, the right organization can partner with us to actually provide the right credentials over time. And essentially what we want to do is, going back to the economic graph story, the profile of record should become the profile of record. And if we can actually partner with the right institutions to kind of provide that insight and visibility, then that's what we strive to do.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll take one more, and then we'll let people go. And we're available on LinkedIn if you guys have other questions you want to reach out to us.
With Microsoft acquiring LinkedIn and lynda.com, how can you share with us, if possible, what the vision is for using some of the tools that they just recently rolled out as well, and connecting that with LinkedIn, both on the professional level, but myself as a retired superintendent on the educational level?
Right, so these are very early days for us as well, and we're continuing to explore the right synergies between Microsoft and LinkedIn. We did have some early partnerships with Microsoft Office to actually, if you're in office, you're actually working, we can actually recommend you the most relevant courses related to those products. So that's actually already live as a kind of lightweight integration, and we're continuing to kind of explore. In fact, tomorrow we actually have a full day meeting where we're actually sitting down on this topic of how do we take the best of Microsoft with respect to their reach in the corporate world, their products, their suite of products, and actually combine it with kind of our expertise in learning and kind of social. So we've got some early wins, and we're going to continue to kind of look at deeper integrations. All right, with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
We're here.